Hey folks, how's it going? This is Seagull here, back with another video. So I'm trying something a little different today, a little experiment because, well, most of the time when I present an idea, I have a pretty sure way of how I want it to be done and I just lay it all out in a video. But there's something else I've been thinking about because with supernaturals, I think at this point we have pretty much all the ones that I want, except superheroes if you count those, but we haven't really had full-on superheroes in The Sims before. But in terms of ones from the previous games, I'm pretty well satisfied. But I have seen plenty of people still asking for fairies and werewolves. And it does leave me a bit confused because even though, yeah, fairies and werewolves have their fans, I'm wondering how would fairies and werewolves be pulled off in The Sims 4 without them being super comparable to spellcasters and vampires. I mean, I even saw people tearing Eco Lifestyle apart just because it reuses some animations, so I imagine people would be absolutely furious if that was done with entire occults. So I thought this time I could actually open the floor to you all, and then in a follow-up video I can feature some of my favorite comments featuring your ideas for how fairies and werewolves could be done in this game. So we've had fairies and werewolves, at least in playable form, only once before in the Sims 3 Supernatural expansion pack. So I would imagine both of them would get a game pack. I don't know if they would come in a game pack together. That still might be a little too large for a $20 game pack compared to the others, like especially since vampires got their own game pack and spellcasters got their own. I wouldn't expect both fairies and werewolves to come in a pack together unless maybe they did some sort of supernatural expansion pack still, but then maybe there was one or two others included alongside them, like zombies and something else perhaps. But yeah, I think they probably would get their own game packs and probably still work pretty similarly to how they did in The Sims 3. At least with werewolves, I could somewhat justify them because, well, body hair. I bring that up plenty of times on this channel. I really want body hair to come back. I think we should have had that from the start. But yeah, I think werewolves would be the most valid reason for body hair to come back at this point because does it make sense to have werewolves without body hair? I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable on werewolves, I will admit, but I don't know, that's just something like very typical of werewolves to me. It seemed weird to not have it. And then there's also the lunar cycles, another feature that I really want back, and werewolves I think would be the biggest reason to bring them back too, because I guess they would have been nice to have in Realm of Magic, but that didn't happen, so I think having a werewolves game pack with lunar cycles, that's their best chance. I don't really know what other theme they would come with, unless maybe they came with fairies, but I don't know. I just think that with the lunar cycles and being connected to the werewolf transformations and such makes a lot of sense. And I think they could also have some really cool fight animations. The vampires had some really cool fight animations, and so did the spellcasters, though it's more of like a ranged thing where they did the magic duels. But I'm mainly thinking of the vampire duels, where they had like this whole like lunging at each other in midair and that sort of stuff. So maybe the werewolf fights could be, it'd be hard to do, I guess, to the point where it's not like too brutal, but I feel like they should be more aggressive than the vampire fights or the regular dust clouds between human Sims. I think that could be really cool. And, well, I guess it should have gone without saying, but since I just remembered it, fairies and werewolves absolutely should have skill trees. I think that would be really cool. I like the skill tree gameplay with occults in The Sims 4, at least the ones that have them. So they should do them for fairies and werewolves. And it would be nice if they added them to mermaids and aliens, but that's extremely wishful thinking now. Oh, and the future portal is just spawning in, don't mind that. But though I'm not super sure of every power werewolf should have, I know of at least a few. Because their super speed, they already have the framework to put that in the game since the vampires can already get it. But make it at least look different, so the werewolves could get down on all fours and then go really fast. and of course they gotta be immortal as well. And they could also have the ability to heal faster. If there are certain things where they get hurt, then they can just recover from those buffs a lot faster. And I was also thinking, maybe since anger is part of werewolves as well, there could be a thing where if a werewolf is in the anger emotion, their needs could decay slower, maybe their skills could go up faster too, so there is a little bit of a bonus that ties into the emotion system, makes it more useful. I just thought that could be a neat idea. Let me know what you think of that. Maybe one other thing werewolves could have is that they could sniff out collectibles. I remember there was a power that vampires had in The Sims 3 where they could scan the room and see which sim would give them the most plasma for drinking from them. So there maybe could be something similar with werewolves where they're outside and they just do like a sniffing animation for 5 to 10 seconds, and then there could be maybe some shining effect or something that spawns from like the collectibles, and then you could see them a lot more easily than you would otherwise. And of course, I think they should have some interactions like these where they're sniffing each other and such. And that's basically it for all the ideas I have for werewolves. So if you have more of an idea of what werewolves should be like in The Sims 4, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. So let's move on to fairies. Fairies, I wasn't really all that excited for fairies before Supernatural came out, and I guess I was kind of okay with them after I did get to play with them. But the one part that really intrigued me was the wing customization. I love how you have those 6 completely different wing types, including that really tiny one at the end. And then, on top of that, you could customize their color even with the color wheel. It's definitely a good example of how a good base game can really enhance pack content as well, because if there was no color wheel in The Sims 3 either, then yeah, it wouldn't have been as cool, but slightly off topic. So yeah, wing customization I think was really awesome, and they should definitely have that in The Sims 4 again. And it could be even better than the tail customization with mermaids in Island Living in that sort of way. Since The Sims 4 does not have a color wheel though, maybe they can try and at least do something different so that maybe instead of all the wings being light, they could actually have some wing options that are very solid looking. And, oh yeah, that's really cool there, where if you have the darker colors, then it kind of has like the dark spores coming off of it and all that stuff. So maybe they could still have some pre-made color swatches for all the wings, kind of like with the hair colors, so you wouldn't completely lose out on color options for those wings. In terms of powers, I guess there are also some pretty obvious ones, like being able to fly. They could be faster when they do that, and they could have an animation that's kind of similar to when the servo flies around, except you have different special effects. And the fairies' magic would be a lot more mischievous than the spellcasters. So maybe there could be some similar ones to what we already have in Realm of Magic, because it would seem a little bit weird if you couldn't have a fairy make 2 Sims fall for each other and that sort of stuff. But then you could have ones where it's like that one there, where you can make the Sim feel cold, or you can have one where the Sim feels hot-headed, and then you could have one where the Sim basically removes the other Sim's clothes, just down to their underwear. Just really silly stuff like that. But one idea that I have is that in The Sims 3, there's this fairy house, but it doesn't really do much in my opinion. It's more of a rabbit hole. So maybe they could expand on that this time, where you could actually follow your fairies inside of the house, and it's almost like a microverse or micro dimension where you can actually see everything be smaller. Maybe the scale of objects could be different, but yeah, it could be just something that I think would make fairies a bit more exciting and unique, not just compared to spellcasters, but compared to what fairies were even like in The Sims 3. Maybe the microverse could even be similar to the Magic Realm, except the fairy house can be a gateway to it. Oh, and I just remembered, maybe one of the pranks that Fairies could do is make other Sims dance, and this, I think, would be the perfect opportunity to bring back the Smussle. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't come back yet. I feel like that's just one of those signature Sims things by now. It was originally in The Sims 2. They eventually brought it back with The Sims 3 Supernatural, but I think I would like to see it in The Sims 4 as well. I think that could be a lot of fun. So that's all the ideas I have right now for what they could do with fairies and werewolves in The Sims 4. Feel free to let me know in the comments section below, and I might just choose your comment to feature in the follow-up video. So I don't exactly want werewolves and fairies right now. I do want to make that clear because I do like supernatural Sims, but I think it's a little too early maybe for another one because we had a lot of the supernatural stuff last year, and I do think we more urgently need realistic stuff that integrates into everyday gameplay, like generations. Farming would be really cool too, but yeah, maybe next year though. I think next year would be a good time to bring in at least one of these two. So I think it would be a pretty good idea to get these sorts of ideas out there now, since video game development does take a long time, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, they have said before that packs take about a year to make. And with that, be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest content from The Sims, Paralives, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!